Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pig City Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zachary Ivy, and beside of me, I have my co-host today,
Alexander Walker. Man, is it good to be back in football season or what?
It is. As we are recording this, the first preseason game has not quite yet kicked off, but we are in the month that it does start. We are recording this in July, so we will make this disclaimer. Some of these things may change, but we're going to break down each of the divisions. And it's South Week. We're starting with probably, I would say, the best division in all of football, probably the most talented. The top to bottom, every roster is just completely stacked with gems. So, yeah, Alexander, quick thoughts on the AFC South. I'm just kidding. We'll get into that, but how are you feeling? Let's take a first minute of how you doing, man.
I'm doing pretty good, just living life. I'm excited to start actually diving into football stuff. Like, I feel like prior years, I feel like I was more kept up with the moves. But then this year, I know there was a lot of moves, but I didn't feel like there was any big moves that I felt like changed my opinion on a lot of teams and what they did last year. And maybe once we dive into this, I realized okay, maybe my opinion did change. I just didn't realize it. But as of right now, I don't see a lot of change this year.
Hey, I mean, that's part of the exercise. Like, from the time this drops, it's still about a month until the first actual game starts, where a certain team is going to be opening the season as Super Bowl champions, and that's why you haven't kept up with it, because who cares? Just kidding. But we will get into each of the divisions. We'll do a breakdown, and we're going to go through each of the teams. We'll go through kind of the order they finished last year, worst to first. We're going to be mixing a little bit of fantasy in with the overall view, and the way we're kind of doing this whole production breakdown is basically we're going through each of the rosters, and the players that are draftable or not in fantasy where they're being drafted is also evaluating the team, because, again, for the most part, this actually division might be the biggest exception to this. But if they're a good player, they're a good player, and you're going to want them on your fantasy team, and you're also going to want to watch them on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, Saturday. NFL plays basically every day of the week at this point. So, yeah, I'm doing okay. I did burn my finger earlier. Hopefully that heals, but I keep messing with it. So if you see me, doing this, I think it's like playing a violin or something. I don't know what's happening, but we're within 3 minutes.
Playing a violin for those Chiefs fans?
Listen, Chiefs have won enough. I'm not going to hate on them. At least they know what it's like to win. I'm talking about all the other loser fan bases that haven't won in this century or ever won at all. I mean, half the league hasn't won since 2000. So, it's really those people. Like, Chiefs, yeah, they showed that, we play. You know what? No. They're not in this division. We're not talking about that. But as you can tell, for all of you new listeners, we are Eagles fans. If you think we're too biased by the way we look at something, call us out on it. Please, please, please. I know everyone you watch, every video you hear, if you're listening on Spotify, like, review, comment. If you're on YouTube, please, right now, like the video. It really means so much. Comment. Tell us what you agree with, disagreed. Even if you just want to put the rankings of your teams 1 through 4. We know football content hits harder than any other. So we're ready to get this thing started with the illustrious AFC South. All right, Alexander, give us the teams and how they finished last year to start with.
Well, I mean, you said we're going worst first, so we'll start at the bottom. Last year in the AFC South, we had the Tennessee Titans, who finished a 3-14 record. And I'm sure any of y'all kept up with the draft or anything, saw they had the first overall pick. Then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They finished at 4. We'll get into that team later, but I have a lot of thoughts about that team. And then we have the Indianapolis Colts, and they finished at 8-9. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Way we have it set up, it's blue on blue on my screen, and I can't see blue on blue from far away. And then we had the Houston Texans, who finished at 10-7, and I'm pretty sure they were the only playoff team last year from this division.
Yeah, definitely. The only winning team, and again, we were joking, obviously, at the beginning of this being the best division. In my opinion, it's by far the worst, and honestly, the other South's the only one competing with it. So we wanted to start off worse. So if you can tough it out with through the South, love us when we get to the teams with multiple playoff teams. But yeah, one quick thing, you might have your thing set on night mode, because it's definitely not blue on blue, so maybe whatever. That's behind the scenes stuff, whatever. So you were speaking on the Titans. They had the number 1 pick, and that's who we're starting with, the Titans, who the Will Levis experiment, while hilarious, while the memes were abundant and the plays were just honestly hysterical, and Every single person that even believed him in the slightest was proven to be very ignorant. They do get redemption because somehow they were able to get the first pick, and they draft Cameron Ward out of the University of Miami. Their receiver room, leading the way, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett. They add a new guy, Ayomanor, you know what, I'm not an English professor. And their backfield is very similar, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, and they still have Okonkwo at tight end. Not a whole lot of changes, that a new wideout, but I guess this offense, and really Ridley, you took him last year. We both believed in him. You believe the quarterback can be productive enough. Kind of talk to me about Cameron Ward and Calvin Ridley. And do you have faith in them? As we have Cameron Ward basically not even drafted as a top two or a QB2 in fantasy. He's out of that mark. You're basically getting him really late. Calvin Ridley going as the worst third-tier receiver as we look at this today in the 7th round. Not really big risk, but how do you feel about this offense overall and the additions they made?
I mean, they made the right pick at 1. To me, you needed a quarterback, and I think Cameron Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. I thought that beginning last year of college football. I actually ended up placing a bet right away that Cameron Ward was going to be the first overall pick. And this was before Cameron Ward even started balling. I was just going off of like what I had seen prior and just like, I don't know, I just believed in the dude. And he came through, and the fact that he's going as QB 27, that's just insane to me. I get this offensive line last year was horrendous, and I don't think they did a lot to make it better. But, I mean, they added 2 new receivers. They added, I'm assuming Alamora or Elick. Yeah, we'll just call him Elick. I like that. Yeah. I'm assuming that's a rookie, correct?
I'm not answering.
I've never heard of him before. Do you know where he went to school?
Listen, here's what I'm going to say, okay? If you're sitting here and saying that adding Tyler Lockett somehow made them a better football team, I feel like you haven't watched football in the past 3 years. And
but Tyler Lockett he's a sure-handed type of guy underneath, which means Calvin Ridley gets to just open up the field, which is what he can do best. Yes, he can be that underneath guy, but we saw in years past when you try to just make him just do that, it kind of takes away what he can do on the field. And Calvin Ridley being, 7th roundish is just insane to me. Because if you believe in Cameron Ward in the slightest, Calvin Ridley is going to be better than wide receiver 36.
Yes, but I think that's the thing is obviously people don't at large, and maybe if people agree with what my philosophy is, it's that I think he can be good in the league. There's nothing that makes me think they're going to be very successful this year, and they're not going to score much. Ridley may be usable, drafted there, and I actually like Ridley's spot. But for those of you, obviously, that are new to this, hello, welcome. This is really, really in the weeds, and we're already getting off track. But I really am not a fan of colleges without, like, mascots or plural names. And my least favorite of all is Stanford, who is the Cardinal, but it's for the trees, and all of my teams are named trees. So he was trying to get me to bait me into saying something I really didn't want to, but they get the wideout out of Stanford. I mean, again, I don't believe you've never heard of the guy, but regardless, this is not a wideout crew you're looking forward to. You have Calvin Ridley and those guys. I do like Tony Pollard. I want to say that he's going right near the same as Ridley in drafts. They are telling us again that they're going to kind of share it and split it. It's not going to happen. Tony Pollard's going to lead the way. He's going to be productive. I actually like him there, especially if you already have 2 running backs. If he's your third, I love that. I just don't think this offense has enough like juice to compete in NFL football games. I mean, at the end of the day, what's a realistic expectation for the amount of points they're going to score in a game? Like, I don't see it. This is a mild stay away for me as the offense of a whole. If we look as we move down here, if you have other thoughts, you can chime in at the end. Their over-under is 6.5. If you're telling me this team's going to win 7 football games, like, if Cameron Ward is the rookie of the year, I don't think he is responsible enough to get 4 more wins from the team from last year. I know that it's going to be a little better, but I don't know. They do have the worst odds to win the division, so we'll discuss that at the very end. But I'm leaning heavy with the under and not really stressing about it. I don't think he's worth 4 wins from their team. They're too broken, too many holes. The good news is we'll get to the other 2 teams in a second, they do get to play some pretty bad teams as well. That's the only thing I will say with the win total, but The Titans are not making the playoffs. I'm not going to be interested in them. I've had Calvin Ridley in so many leagues. Every stop almost was an Eagle. Look it up. But I'm out on the Titans. They're going to finish fourth again. Starting off the year with a really sour taste, but prove me wrong. I'm out on the Titans. I'm okay with Pollard, okay with Ridley. If Tyler Lockett ever even gets within 6 inches of any of my fantasy lineups, something's went horribly wrong in my life. Yeah, tell me your final thoughts on them as we move on over to Jacksonville.
I mean, my final thoughts is 6.5. Yeah, I think I take the under, but I do think like you can't look at what they did last year, and there was a lot of situations last year where we saw how bad Levis was, but he'd be in situations where they were just throwing the ball like crazy just to try to, because they somehow the team wasn't completely out of games. Like they still were able to try to throw and have a chance. And I trust Cameron Ward throwing the ball way more than Will Levis. And I think
Well, he knows which
he's going to be
direction to
more
throw the ball.
productive.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think like, I don't hate the idea of like having Cameron Ward, like taking him as like your second QB to just have, and hey, if he could possibly hit and be a league winner for you.
Okay. Yeah, if you already have an established starter, and again, most of this is based on one quarterback leagues. If you have two and he's your third, sure, high upside, that's fine. I have to yeah, I've said enough. Sorry to all the Titans fans. Sorry to Lee, my dog, but yeah. So both leaning under. All right. Jaguars. I'll let you start this one off since I kind of did there. I'll run through the lineup really quickly of the notable starters. Trevor Lawrence, a quarterback who's coming back. We'll see how it is. Running back, they still have ETN. They add a running back too, and they have Tank still there. Tight end, Britton Strange. But the biggest part of this team that everyone's interested in is their wideout room. Brian Thomas, who jumped on the scene last year, is an absolute dynamite. I mean, he's just big play after big play after big play. Already going as a top 8 receiver, early second round pick. And they add the guy who I guess they're thinking, so if you're bad on offense and defense, draft somebody that can play both. They draft Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner out of, what school did he go to again?
Who?
Travis Hunter?
Colorado.
I never saw anything about him. But he's obviously going to be getting the ball in his hands a lot based on this, I guess. This is kind of crazy to me. And then they do have Dwami Brown also, who I know you've been fond of in the past. So what stands out to you there? Who do you see maybe as a steal, or how do you feel about this offense overall? Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, should be hopefully back fully healthy. But 4 wins last year. It seems like it's only up from here, but I'll let you see how you feel about them.
I mean, this team, yeah, Brian Thomas, you want him, but wide receiver 8, like, I don't know. I feel like there's other receivers around that range I would probably still take over him. But that's just me personally, because I do not believe in Trevor Lawrence. I never have. And I just, because of that, I don't want anything to do with this team. I mean, I'm out on them. I'm out on the Jags. I have them finishing 4th in this division.
Spoiler. So, yeah, I guess you don't really like any of these guys. Any interest in any of these guys being on your team or not?
I mean, maybe Dwami Brown late, just because I also don't like Travis Hunter's an athlete, but I just don't see them allowing him. Like, he's going to have certain plays in the offense, but it's not going to be enough to me to warrant wide receiver 30, which is what, wide receiver 3 range.
Yeah,
on my teams. Like 6th round, you got to take them. Like, that's just seems too high for me. It's a guy I'm fine completely missing out on.
And this, as we won't keep mentioning this, but where fantasy meets like football part, I think we both agree Brian Thomas is an incredible receiver, but you're having to draft him as an incredible receiver. So there's not like a whole lot of performing above his standard. And if you have struggles with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, Brian Thomas was making unbelievable plays with Mac Jones. So he's so good that he may be quarterback proof. For him to be a top receiver, he's probably the first receiver you're drafting. And as we go through the list of the top 10 guys, we get into it, you probably have him below all of those guys as far as trust level goes with the offense, not him in general. So I'm kind of with you there. There's going to be somebody at your fantasy draft that drafts Travis Hunter that is then, by the end of the draft, no matter what they thought beforehand, they're going to talk themselves into and be telling the whole league, I just got the biggest steal of the draft. I got a guy who is going to sell more jerseys than anybody in this city. part of the reason they got him is to get people to actually come to the NFL football games because they're that bad. No one goes to the games. Not no one. Sorry to the Jags fans. I know you were playing well a few years ago. You stink now. But we've seen Trevor Lawrence be good. He's really a weird case study of just looking elite in college and then in the NFL looks bad but good and then looks great and then okay and then I don't know. It's not something I'm believing in either. I'm not as low as the Jags or as you are on the Jags. I think they're clearly better than the Titans, even with, I don't want to say that. I was going to say even with Mac Jones starting, but if Mac Jones has to take over at a certain point, I still think their roster is overall better. I personally don't think Travis Hunter is going to be playing a lot of defense, at least this year. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I know he's great ball skills, but I mean, again, you even hear Travis Kelce already saying like, and I know you can run zone or this or that, but like when Travis Kelce is making it clearly obvious, like, yeah, we'll just target him on defense to make him run around so he's more tired and not as effective. I don't care what kind of athlete you are. People want to say, like, you know, he learned from Deion. Deion didn't. He was predominantly playing only on defense. So I am very curious on the Travis Hunter experiment. This is going to be a really fun player to watch from a fantasy perspective, as well as just the NFL perspective, because he seems like a guy that genuinely just loves football. So that is cool. If he is good to great, this Jaguars offense could be interesting. And that's where, like, I have a little hope that, you know, but their win total is 8.5. Obviously, you're going under if you have them finish. Well, I don't know. You had the Titans finishing under also. So I guess you just think that no one's going to win games against each other in this division. Or you really believe in the top two. We'll find out. They are projected to be the second team in this division, which, again, is to you does seem crazy. And I understand that a little, but yeah, I don't know if I have them second or third yet. We'll find out at the end of the episode. Comment, let us know if you agree or not. But I'm good to move on if you are.
Did you have them under or over?
Do I have to make a decision right now?
Yes.
It's going to seem like I just answered instantly. They're not winning 9 games. They're not winning 9 games. Under.
Okay, before we move on, just because, like, they only had 4 wins last year. They lost Evan Ingram. Then they added, Travis Hunter? Who was the other receiver they had behind Brown
You
Thomas?
think I'm not going to have Brenton Strange on any of my lineups? I guarantee you I do.
I guarantee you don't.
Who are they going to throw the ball to if it's not Brian Thomas? Because if it's Travis Hunter, draft him. Their defense is not going to be good. They're projected to be a bottom 6 defense in the league. I mean, if you told me this team won 8 games, I wouldn't be shocked. But, like, I'll take the under just because I don't think they're a good football team.
Yeah, they're not good.
Not a terrible schedule, though. I will say that.
I mean, the Titans have an easier schedule than that.
I don't agree because the Jags get to play the Titans twice. But that's how divisions work, you know? So, all right, our first official, you know, whatever you want to call it of the year, wager of the year is that Colts versus Jags win total. All right, speaking of Colts, as we move on to them, we have the Indianapolis Colts finishing last year, as you had mentioned, 8-9. Doesn't it kind of feel like that's crazy that the Colts won 8 games last year?
I think that speaks to this team. They just need quarterback play. But we've been saying that for a while. We said that when they brought in Phillip Rivers. And then Phillip Rivers wasn't the Phillip Rivers. Like, he was old. So then they had Anthony Richardson come in. And it's like, dude, if he can just be average, this team is a playoff team. And then he forgot how to be average. He started trying to do too much.
Yes, and I reached out to fans of multiple teams. And what the Colts fan has said they really want Daniel Jones to start just because it's more stable. It's kind of more like, as a guy that he obviously wants to be there. Like, you don't have to worry about him tapping out in the middle of a game. And I didn't say this back, so I do feel a little bad about saying this now. But y'all still love Andrew Luck, who literally quit on your team and put you in this situation. Again, Stanford, said enough. I don't know, man. This roster is not bad, but it's not good. This might be the most mid team we review. And I hate using that word, but I literally mean it. They're like right in the middle. And again, their line is 8.5 also. But I don't think Daniel Jones is a horrible quarterback, especially when he's in a system that is very quarterback friendly. And that's what's so crazy about Anthony Richardson. Just make the easy throws and you can run around. We've seen the miraculous plays he makes. He throws the ball 70 yards with the flick of the wrist. He can run over people, but don't always do that. You're not Cam Newton. You're not able to make these plays. So He has a full offseason. I mean, he's basically never played like a lot of games at any level, it seems. But when you're that talented, you don't want to just give up. But again, this whole like, yeah, he just quit. Yeah, I mean, that was a terrible look, and that's not a leader of a team. But at the same time, who is the leader of him? Who is the one like? Should he have been more publicly ridiculed? I don't know. We're getting into it a little bit. But as we go through the rest of their lineup, Richardson or Daniel Jones, you do get Jones about 4 or 5 rounds later at this point, fantasy-wise. We don't know who the starter is going to be. I don't think they know who the starter is going to be. Receivers, you have Josh Downs and Michael Pittman basically going the exact same draft position, so it's just who do you trust more to get volume. I like them as a duo, though, just from a pure football standpoint, personally. Adonai Mitchell, a lot of talent there. We'll see how much he gets used. And then Alec Pierce from Cincinnati, have to say it's obligation at this point. Not a bad receiver either. It's a good group. It's a B- overall group that has opportunity. And then
It's the best receiving corps that we've talked about.
that's maybe disrespectful to Travis Hunter. I'm just saying Brian Thomas is so good that like all you need is a decent number 2 to. But yeah, it's the most like, yeah. Anyways, and here's probably where we're going to spend most of our time on this team is Jonathan Taylor, as he is still going as a top 8 running back, RB1. You're having to get him early to mid-second round. He is elite in every possible way. Their offensive line isn't horrible. They want to run the ball, which is, again, so weird they couldn't succeed with Richardson. They did get a new toy. Well, DJ Giddens, backup running back. But they did get a new toy at tight end, Tyler Warren, who I guess I finally need to admit is not an Eagle. I guess maybe I could still say one day he will be. But he's an absolute beast. We'll see what they do. I don't know if they know how to use tight ends anymore since, like, Dallas Clark. I'm probably forgetting somebody. But if you want to have a fun experiment on the internet, all of you right now, like the video, but then pause it. Go search Colts tight ends for the past, like, 7 seasons. You'll find some names that you didn't know were names. I promise. It's one of the weirdest position groups of any team. And then their defense is, again, bottom 8 defense. So 8.5's the line. They're projected to finish 3rd. We've already said who we both have finishing last in the division. You got questions here at basically every position. So what do you make of this hodgepodge of, if you were doing a Madden season and you saw this amount of talent on an opposing team, you would say, yeah, obviously that team has no user controlling it because they're clueless, with all due respect.
I'd argue if this was a Madden season, this team would be user owned and probably be pretty good with them, because you have 2 running quarterbacks and you have one with a freaking cannon. So I don't know if that's a fair like take, but I mean, quarterback wise, like
maybe I should have said
we
simulation.
Don't know. Okay, but quarterback wise, you don't know who's going to be the guy. But like if you're looking at receiver, like who would I trust more out of Downs and Pittman? Downs tends to get more targets last year, but Pittman was literally dealing with injury the whole season. And I don't think enough people like talked about that. The dude literally just kept playing for this team, even though they weren't that good, but they were an 8-9 team with their top receiver not fully healthy. They quarterback play was awful. And I'm pretty sure Jonathan Taylor got hurt for a bit last year, which, I mean, I feel like at this point he gets hurt every year for a bit.
Well, let me
but
jump
then
in right there
you
really
get
quickly.
to add a tight end to this team. Like Tyler Warren, I think, could be a beast on this team. It's definitely a tight end I'm targeting for sure. Like, so I mean, I could see myself with Taylor in a couple leagues. I could see myself with Warren with a couple leagues. I'm sure I'll have Downs or Pittman in a couple. I mean, Pierce and Mitchell, I don't know. I mean, maybe a late flyer, just depending on how the board looks or something. But quarterback wise, I'm probably not taking either one of those unless we find out one of them is, and it's like a 2 quarterback league, and I take them for my 3rd. But out of those 2, I think I'd rather take the risk on like Cameron Ward instead, who's going in between them.
Yeah, I will say that. I agree with you on that point. I've tried the Anthony Richardson experiment. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. I just want to say the Pittman injury thing. Sorry to go right back to this. Do you trust that like his back's miraculously healed? I'm pretty sure his back was broken last year. Like, I don't think that's just like, oh, we took an off season off. Now my back is healed. I don't know. Injuries scare me more than anything, especially with troublesome offenses. I'm pretty low on this team, I'll be honest with you. I want to believe in them because I think their scheme is friendly, and Jonathan Taylor is so good. I mean, if you're just talking like football players, he's an absolute beast. He's got a lot of miles on him. He ended last year extremely strong. I'm not comfortable taking him as my top running back. If he's my second running back, I'm going to feel great, but like right now, you're having to get him as your RB1, and that's a premium price for a guy I don't trust their offense. But he's so good that if you have him, you're playing him every week regardless. There's just too many question marks here. This is a team where if we look back and somebody comments 3 months into the season and says, I can't believe you said this about the Colts. I'm fine with being wrong about because there's so many question marks. There's no way you can believe in this. Like, it just doesn't. This doesn't make sense to me how it's structured. Like, none of it is symmetric. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, it's just, what are we doing? Like, is this a genuine competition? Does Daniel Jones legitimately have a chance to win it, or is it just Richardson can lose it? I don't know. Downs or Pittman, who knows who's going to get more volume and if one of them has a broken back or not? Yeah. I mean, Tyler Warren, if he's your top tight end, like I think you can live with that because I'm very much like weight on tight end in overall in fantasy. If you're playing Dynasty or if you're just asking like Tyler Warren's long-term future, 100% in. But this year, I don't know. And that's why we started with this division. I promise we'll be more positive as the year goes on and the division breakdowns continue. When we were discussing, this is why we chose this division because there's 3 teams so far, and we've barely said anybody we want on our teams. And like, you're going to have people on teams you don't like, except one team I'll never own. But anyways, sorry for that little ramble there. This roster makes me so mad because I see there's talent within each position group, and I just don't know how they can extrapolate that. Don't even know if you use that word right. If they can just pull that talent out of them, it makes me furious the more I look at it because, like, I don't know. I mean, how many guys can do some of the things Anthony Richardson can? But what's it matter if he doesn't do it? Like, I don't know. Let me ask you this, and then you can give your final thoughts, and we'll pick our final thing here. Who do you think the starter is week 1, and would that affect how you would draft specifically the receivers and tight end? I don't think it really affects Taylor that much, unless you think it will. But who would you want to be the quarterback, and how will it affect your drafting?
I mean, me, like just as a fantasy type guy, or even if I was a Colts fan, I would want it to be Richardson, but I'd want that as in he's actually going to live up to what we think he can be, and he's going to show promise. But I mean, if you're seeing it in training camp that like he's still kind of making the same stuff he's been making, go Daniel Jones. We've seen last year alone, quarterbacks get a change of scenery and they become different guys, especially guys that were drafted high like Daniel Jones and at times had shown potential with their previous team. And he's a veteran now at this point. And I mean, I would argue, outside of Barkley, who has Daniel Jones really had on his team that was anywhere near Tyler Warren's talent? Or if you think Pittman's fully healthy or Josh Downs is going to continue to be that underneath like threat that can just haul in volume. I mean, has he ever had that?
I don't think either of them are like a number 1 receiver for like a quarterback. I think it's very similar to what he has had. Like Darius Slayton.
Those 2 guys are way better than Darius Slayton. Ain't even close.
Okay. We'll look at Slayton's numbers and theirs at the end of the year. But yeah, I will say one good thing. 2 final points for me here. Tyler Warren makes insane catches. So, like, I guess Anthony Richardson has a harder time not throwing to him because he can catch anything. And then secondly, something that I kind of am just now realizing, the Colts uniforms, where they're like all blue, what school do they look almost identical to? Daniel Jones. I mean, maybe that's it. He just plays better in blue. That's basically how I'm evaluating this team, is the color of the guy's uniform and the backup quarterback or not. Out on the Colts, heck, I might pick the Jags over them. We'll find out a little bit. 8.5. You going over or under, buddy?
Going over.
Okay. So you think they have a winning season here?
Yes, they're a playoff team.
Did I go under with the Jags?
Actually, I don't know if they're a playoff team. Scratch that from the record.
Did I go under with the Jags?
But I do think they go over 500 this year.
As if I can't change right now. By the way, sorry about this light situation. I don't know what's going on.
You went under with the Jags.
Under.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like feel bad about it. This is the one. This might be the only team that I'm 100% okay with. Like, if everything I just said was completely wrong, I will feel zero remorse by the end of the year.
Okay.
So yeah, Considering I went under on those, and you went under on 2 of those, we obviously know the returning division champ, the Houston Texans, who were 10-7 last year, and kind of an underwhelming season if we're being honest, especially for their quarterback C.J. Stroud going into his 3rd year now. Some would say sophomore slump, no offensive line, and that's not gotten better. They actually lost their best offensive lineman. Their receivers, they have Nico Collins, Tank Dell, who knows injury-wise, so he's not really part of the evaluation here. They do a weird thing, drafting 2 receivers from the same college, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, going like 6 rounds different, Jaden going higher. And Christian Kirk sandwiched in between them, coming over to kind of piece together that. That's a good receiving core. I like it much better than the Colts, even though they're young. Running backs, you have Joe Mixon. They do add Nick Chubb, who, football and fantasy-wise, if you think he is going to recover in any way, great addition for them because Joe Mixon, it was through like 10 or 11 weeks last year, he was like the top running back in fantasy or top 3 in every league type. They add Woody Marks as their 3rd running back, basically going undrafted at this point. They still have Schultz at tight end, but their defense is what carried this team last year, and it looks like it's going to be just as good. D'Amico Ryans is the head coach, defense focused. They're projected to be a top 5 defense in a lot of places. We have them listed as the 6th defense on the rankings we're using that combines them all. Win total 9.5. This is clearly the cream of the crop of the South. So as you go through this, just kind of, same format. Who are you most excited about? There's definitely way more guys on this team I would rather have on my team. Here's how fantasy can be simple. Good teams usually have good players. Get them on your team if you want to have a good team. But as far as this team, they won a playoff game last year. When you think about the Texans season last year, you don't think about a team that made any kind of playoff run. And I mean, they won a game. So that's more than like other teams can say. Like Justin Herbert didn't win a game last year, but the Houston Texans did. And listen to the discourse this year going into the season, including for myself. So I'll let you handle the majority of this one, and then I'll wrap it up because we clearly are going to talk about the champion of this league and maybe some positives.
We'll just start at quarterback, C.J. Stroud. I think he's a great quarterback, but when it comes to fantasy, we kind of saw last year, like maybe it had to do with the wide receiver injuries. I don't know, but they went a little bit more run heavy than normal. But I think that's part of what they want to do, though. They want to run the ball. They want to like keep that clock running. They have an elite defense on the other side of the field. But I do think he's one of those, though, when it's time to pass, and we've seen it before, he can make those plays. And that leads me to the receivers. Nico Collins, I think, is going to have a career year this year. And that kind of where I was talking like Brian Thomas, the range he's going. Nico's going in that same range. And I would take Nico over Brian Thomas any day of the week and wouldn't think twice about it. And then just the other ones, I mean, you got 2 rookies. You don't know really where they're going to fit in. But, I mean, they're both pretty good receivers. They bring different traits to this offense. Then you have Christian Kirk, who, I mean, he's not elite, but he's serviceable. And he's a veteran. And we've seen when he needs to make plays and catches, he can do it. And then, I mean, I don't know full details of the Tank Dell, like, injury and stuff. But, I mean, if he's able to get out there on the field at all, we've seen C.J. Stroud loves throwing to him. It's just the dude can't stay healthy because he's so small. And then you go to the running backs. I mean, Joe Mixon. You're telling me he's running back 17? So that's an RB2 range. Give me that all day. I mean, as you said last year, Joe Mixon was a top fantasy running back until the wheels fell off. So you're telling me that when he needs a breather so they're not overusing him, they can like supplement Nick Chubb in there, get him some run. Like, this team to me looks amazing on paper. But can they produce when it comes down to it? We've seen in years past, like, it's just something about this division. When the Texans play teams in this division, they like want to stoop down to their level. It's very like UNC basketball-esque. You play worse opponents, you play like the worst opponent. But I mean, outside of that, like, I love multiple people on this team and would love to have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I mean, I think good answers by you, by the way, except for including UNC for no reason. I think the first comment on this is probably going to be like Zachary versus the Lamp was the biggest battle of this. I don't know. It's a whole Velcro, whatever. It's really bothered me if you can't tell. But anyways, I think this team and specifically this quarterback is the exception of what we're talking about. Because we're talking football, we're just also mentioning how we evaluate them with fantasy to make it one instead of two separate things. There's probably not a quarterback that I think has a bigger chasm between how good I think they are as a quarterback compared to what their fantasy production and outlook is this year. In the receiving room, same thing with Nico that we said about Brian Thomas. He's a premium wide receiver, but you have to pay a premium price for him. But what we're saying there is they have an elite receiver on this team from a football perspective. So please hear us say these things. That it's not like, oh, I don't like that guy. It's just maybe I don't want him there. I'm not as high on Nico as you are as far as you also kind of took the coward's way out and you said you think he could have a career year. You should say he will because that makes it more.
All right, he will have it. Nico Collins will have a career year this year in 2025.
Thank you. Much easier to clip that. These receivers they got from Iowa State, shouts out to the Cyclones. I love Jaden Higgins. He is probably the number one player on this Texans roster. I want as many fantasy teams as I can. I think he is an absolute beast. And if I don't get him, maybe I'll take another Iowa State Texan and go with, I'm just going to hold this here, with Jalen Noel. Christian Kirk, freak. Yeah, Christian Kirk, I'm out on just as far as fantasy, but great, like you mentioned, great vet for the team. This roster makes sense. If Nick Chubb can be anything, they have him there. If not, it's okay. They don't need him. They have Schultz. Obviously, you can get a little more production there. He's lost quite a few steps. I don't think he would beat me in a race by that much, if I'm being honest. And then they have a great defense. And so, again, we know the identity of their team, but this is a good football team. Are they very good? Are they great? I don't know. They're a playoff team. They're winning the division. I'm taking the over on 9.5. I'm assuming you are as well.
Yeah, taking the over on 9.5.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what they did last year. They won 10 games. They won a playoff game. You know, when we do our after all these division breakdowns, the Monday of the season starting, we will do our full predictions with our playoffs and how we see them going based on who we predict. Obviously somewhat matchup dependent and health goes into it, but preseason we're making predictions. It's scary in general. I just don't think I have them beating any other team in the AFC making the playoffs. I think they're the worst team that's going to be in the playoffs. I'll put it that way. But they're still a playoff team. And as we get through it, maybe I change my mind, but they're definitely not a top 5 team in AFC because AFC has just some absolute dogs and some teams that were left out last year that are honestly really good teams. So for final rankings, we'll just kind of go 4 through 1 here. I'll go first, and I'm just going to kind of use this format. In the AFC South, in 4th place, I have the Tennessee Titans. In 3rd place, I have the Indianapolis Colts. In 2nd place, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And in 1st place, I have the Houston Texans.
Wow. Okay. Did not see you being so low on the Colts. All right. In the AFC South for 2025, I have in 4th place the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 3rd place, I have the Tennessee Titans. In 2nd place, I have the Indianapolis Colts. And in 1st place, I have the Houston Texans.
All right, so that is our full recap on the AFC South. I promise you, this is the division we will have the least nice things to say about teams overall. Even our next division, there's more people we're interested in. It's South Week. Next episode will be linked in the video once it comes out. At the end is the NFC South, so please stay tuned for that. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong. Am I too harsh on the Titans? Is he too harsh on the Jags? Am I too harsh on the Colts? Are we crazy about the Colts? Either way, let us know. Engagement is good. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, Alexander will take us out. You have less than a minute, whatever you want to say, whatever's on your mind, around the horn style, and then take us out of here, brother.
Well, I mean, it's simple. You in this division was just mind-blowing. And be honest, normally we're pretty close. And I feel like outside of first, completely different on how we feel about those other 3, which is wild to me. But other than that, Piglets were hogging off.